Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and in this video I'll be making a window card that features a digi-stamp from Polkadoodles called Cozy Christmas. This one features Winnie, and it's a really sweet scene of Winnie sitting in a chair by the fireplace. And I thought it would be cute to sort of create this window that actually looks straight through the card front into the inside of the card. So when you're die cutting through your card front, make sure to remember to unfold your card base so that you don't accidentally cut through both layers of your card. But the die set I'm using is a Tonic Studios window die set, which has a lot of different options for things that you can put into your window scene. I'm going to keep this relatively simple, so I'm going to choose the die there, which it does show a vase, but it's actually going to cut the vase completely separate from a blank or an empty window pane. And then on the top window panes, I'm going to use the die that has the little bit of bunting just for that extra sort of festive effect. And it's really nice that even though the die that has the vase, it will cut out the vase completely separate so that it's not actually sitting in the window. I like that they gave that to us as a component just to maximize, the die use and space, because you get that extra die cut and you can use it on your project or use it on a different project. So you've got a lot of flexibility there. But that does mean that you can make a window that doesn't have anything in the window at all if you wanted. So I think that gives us a lot of flexibility. And in this card, I'm keeping it relatively simple. So one of the things that I decided is I am not actually going to put a sentiment on the outside of my card. Sometimes I struggle when I'm creating a scene. I don't know exactly the best place to put a sentiment because it sort of breaks the illusion of the scene, and a lot of times I just want people to just enjoy the scene and to take it all in, and then when they open the card, that's where they can read the message. And so so this card won't actually feature a sentiment on the outside, but there'll be plenty of space on the inside to write a little bit of a message. And because I did cut my window pane out of just white cardstock, I'm going to color in all of that bunting, and I'm just doing some really simple shading, a little bit of dark, a little bit of light, just two color markers, and nothing too elaborate in terms of light source or anything like that. And so once that's all colored in, I did realize a little bit later, and you'll see it later as well, but these images that I'm coloring, this is the vase that I'll be using, they are going to be visible from the backside as well, because this is going to be a window scene that's clear through to the inside of the card. So I do realize later that I actually need to color the backs of these. However, when I go to color the back, I'm not going to do all of the shading detail. I just take the lightest marker and give it a quick color, because there was quite a bit of bleed through from the original coloring, so I just needed a nice quick layer of color just to clean it up and make it look a little bit more polished. To build up my window, I'm gonna put some acetate behind my window base here. The window frame itself, you can leave simple, or you have the option to actually cut some more details into that window frame, which I've chosen to do. So my frame base is craft color, but then the sort of wood detail over top is going to be white, and you can kind of see that off to the side there. So once I get my acetate in, that's going to make the window have that sort of reflective shine so that it does look like it's a window. And this is sort of that wood detailing in the wood frame. And so it uses the same two dies, the outer die and the inner aperture, but then there's an additional die that you can layer that is the verso die, which cuts the design into the frame. Then with my acetate piece down, that's the other reason why you need it, is so that you can actually have something to glue your window pane into, since this card does see right through to the inside of our card. And I chose to use the vase, even though it is die cut separately, and I'll just place that right back into one of the window panes. And I'm gonna just preview what it looks like. It definitely helps to have some cardstock behind there so that you can really see what's going on with that. And then I like to use a dry adhesive when I'm gluing onto acetate. I find that that works a little bit better for me. And for areas that have a little bit of that sort of die cut intricate detail, I use a dotty tape runner, because that will just pick up, along the edges. It can kind of shape around the edges of that intricate die cut. And to position my window onto my card front, I actually attached it from the inside, because then you can really see through your aperture if you have everything lined up correctly. And I think there's room, this is a rather large window, so it does take up the majority of my A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But I think there is still room for a sentiment if you like to have sentiments on your card always. So I think there's room to put one there. I just decided not to for this card. This is the Cozy Christmas scene, which I love coloring. I just sat in front of the TV and colored this. So you won't see all of the coloring. I'm just going to show a little bit of it here. I chose to use my color pencils because there's a lot going on in this scene, which I think is what makes it so rich and so fun, because you can really look at it a long time just to kind of take in all of the details. But my alcohol markers, I don't think they have a fine enough tip to really get into all of those areas. So that's why I went with my colored pencils, and I was definitely sharpening them a lot. In general, that's good practice anyways with color pencils, because it just helps with blending, and especially if you use a paper that's a little bit toothier, it does help you get into all of those little grooves of your paper and have a more sort of solid coverage of color. But I'm using a relatively smooth cardstock. This isn't colored pencil paper. So here's the scene fully colored, which I thought was a lot of fun. And what I tried to do when I picked my colors was to use the same color in multiple places around my scene, just to minimize the palette. But also, if your eye is particularly attracted to any one color, that helps to move your eye across the scene. If you tend to, let's say, the blue color really pops to you, and that's the color that really attracts your attention or your eyes most, by having it in multiple places across the scene, your eye sort of bounces throughout the scene and helps you to kind of move your focus across the scene. I didn't really plan too well here, so originally that scalloped border die that I used to frame this scene just didn't fit. It was just a little bit too big, and so I had to definitely cut it off of one edge. That was enough to make it fit into my card, but then it looked weird where the other 3 edges had scallops on them, so I just trimmed the scallops off on all 4 edges. So I lost all of that scallop detail, but I still think that it looks really nice. And the idea was that you have the scene that you can see from the front and you think, oh, that's just the inside of the house. But when you open it up, it's actually like a portrait or a painting on the wall that you're looking at, not the actual scene of a house. So I thought that was really kind of a cute little twist. I hope that you liked this card, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing, and everything that I use will be included in the description box below. Thanks again, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!